So, welcome, ladies and gents, to episode 1 of the Late Invoices show. Today, we're going to just chat about, my role in the creative world, your role in the creative world, how we both got into our jobs, and how we both got into, the creative field, essentially. And we'll go from there. It's going to be a short episode, just introducing me and Cameron and kind of who we are and what we're about, and then, the next episodes will be a bit more juicy and going into specific topics. But first off, Cameron, tell me about how you got into the creative world and creative industry.
How I got into the creative world. So I originally started off making YouTube videos and skateboarding and
so this guy, ladies and gents, is a low-key nerd. Like, he is. You love your comic books. You love all of that kind of stuff. So tell the viewers what your first YouTube channel was about.
Okay, so first YouTube channel was comic book reviews.
Yeah.
I started off by just doing similar to this. I just had a microphone in front of me. I wasn't on camera. Just used to collect comics anyway. Massive Marvel. You can ask me anything Marvel related, and I'll probably know it. Yeah. And just started, reviewing comic books. I started a YouTube channel like everybody else. Yeah. And my comic book review got 50 views instead of 5, and I was like, there's something there. So I don't know. I just started doing that, and then eventually was doing voiceovers, and then as the videos progressed, I thought, do you know what? It's time for me to be on camera. So I remember the first time I put myself on, the scariest thing in the world, putting yourself on camera for the first time.
Yeah, I've been there.
Yeah, awful. I did it, and I remember everyone being like, oh my God, I thought you'd be like a 40-year-old comic book nerd, like, and they found out I was like a 17-year-old kid, basically.
Yeah. And your channel was huge. How many subs did you have?
Oh, it reached about 80,000 subscribers, yeah.
And then back in those days, which was what, like 8 years ago, 9 years ago, that was big.
Yeah, it was like 2014 maybe, I think, 2013.
Yeah, so that was big for those days.
Yeah, like there was brand deals and sponsors and all that stuff. The YouTube space was a little bit weird back then, though, because you had agencies that wanted to team up with you, but you didn't know whether they were kind of scammy or... Like, there wasn't any of that now, whereas now it's all business, it's a real thing. So cool. It kind of started with a YouTube channel, and then it progressed from being on camera, and being on camera was what introed me into actually using a camera for the first time. Yeah. And then from there, I went to university. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I was interested in something movie related or film related. I didn't know whether it was photography. I didn't know whether it was filming or whatever. I used to watch a movie every night at 10 p.m. religiously. Every night I used to watch a movie.
I did that in sixth form.
Yeah, it was fun. It was so good.
In sixth form, to be fair, like the last 4 years of school, secondary school, every night in bed, put locker, and I'd watch. Oh God. And I'd watch a movie every single night without fail. That was like my bedtime routine.
Yeah. Did you have a favourite movie from back then?
No, I can't, mate. I'm not good with that. Like, there's so many movies I love. But carry on, sorry.
I think I just watched the same ones, to be honest. But anyway, so went to uni, and I still didn't know what I wanted to do, but I just went on this post-production course and did it for 3 years, and by the end of it, I knew, okay, I want to... Yeah. Like, I like a bit of everything. Because especially coming from a YouTube background, you're used to doing everything. You're used to doing the audio, you're used to doing the lighting, you're used to doing the camera work, you're used to doing the editing. Yeah. And then when you come into the professional industry, and everyone's like, oh, you have like a certain position when you're on set and stuff like this. And
you're a
like,
niche
what?
at something, like, you have your area of expertise, and that's the area you kind of go into.
Yeah, exactly.
Unless you're a content creator generally.
Yeah. So, and I think if you want to do everything, then you can get quite... You don't get lost, but you struggle
diluted,
to find your place.
I agree.
And then once you niche down and you just think, do you know what, I'm going to do this, then that's fine.
Yeah, most people pick a area and then run with it and get really good at that one skill. Yeah, and then you can do others. I know like photographers that also do videography, and they've got like more strings to their bow, so to speak, so they can earn more money. Yeah, but like it's harder to do the videography and photography for a campaign, like, and get hired for the both, when you can be a director and do the photography, but like you're then more of a content creator, really. Usually people will go like, right, I'm gonna be a photographer in this area and I'm gonna be the best at it, and get hired for the big campaigns. Same with, you're gonna be a DOP for music videos, or like, do you know what I mean, like those kind of things.
I think the industry just naturally pushes you over to something like that, because someone will reach out to you, like a producer maybe, and they'll be like, oh, we need photography, or we just need video, and then you end up inevitably just doing more than the other.
And you kind of pick your lane.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a good way of putting it.
Which is quite nice, because then you get to focus your skills. But I think you do have to make the decision. But when I was in uni, so I did that for 3 years, and I worked at a CCTV camera room at the time.
I love this. This is such a good story.
And so what I used to do, I used to work night shifts. So what I would do is I used to go to university at 9 in the morning or 10 in the morning. I used to go to uni till 4. I used to go home. I used to train at the gym, and then I used to go at 6 p.m. to work for a 12-hour shift till 6 a.m. the next day. I would sleep for 4 hours or 3.5 hours, and then I would go to uni again and do it again. Obviously,
mate, I don't know how you did that. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, but
I know when you're like 18, 19, like, you know, we're getting old now. But how did you survive off that little sleep? And I mean, you were editing your YouTube videos, weren't you, at work?
I was, yeah. So I used to edit my YouTube videos when I got to work as well. I hope my previous employer doesn't hear this podcast.
Who cares?
But I used to go on the night shifts. Nothing happens on the motorways at night, so just used to sit on my laptop and edit the YouTube videos that I would record on my days off. The reason why it was sustainable was because it was 4 days on, 4 days off at work. So I only had to like slam it out for 4 days. And then the other 4 days I knew I could just go to uni and just chill, like have a day off or whatever.
And I suppose that was a nice bit of extra coin whilst you're at uni. Because a bit of extra cash at uni is always handy.
And then eventually I wanted to I had the idea of, I grew up in the countryside, similar to you. In Manchester, up in the hills near the wind turbines, in a dangerous place, scary place called Rochdale. And don't go there. And basically I liked the city life. I had a feeling that I just liked the city life, but I'd never been. And so I used to speak to my friend about moving to London, and then one day he was like, oh, my girlfriend lives there, I'm going to move in 6 months. Do you fancy just moving with me? And we'll figure it out. And I was like, yeah, sure. So obviously I didn't anticipate moving to London within the next 6 months, so I had to save some money. So I saved about $3,000, and I moved in on June 2nd, 2018.
Damn.
And I
came in with no network. 2018 as well.
You did move in 2018.
But I think like mine was like April, May time, and it's funny because we had no idea each other existed then, but we were we were trying to make our way in the same city. That's mad.
Some parallels.
Literally. I didn't know that.
And you didn't, like, there was no network, there was no, I didn't even know how to use my camera properly.
No. And how did that progress into your job now, which is tell them what you do now and like how that progressed.
So now I currently have my own video production company called Burst Media. We've really done a range of projects over the years, but it's this year where we decided to specifically niche into the sports industry. And so the businessy elevator pitch would be that we service our clients to increase customer acquisition and brand awareness. And of course, all the other video production stuff, run the productions on like the GQ videos, do all the post-production editing, color grading. You would have seen some of the GQ videos.
You know those videos you see on YouTube of the 10 things this person can't live without, 10 things that person can't live without. That's Cameron's probably behind that in some way.
All that stuff, so I don't know, it's I've met quite a lot of celebrities. You've met quite a lot of them as well, so we've met similar ones, which is quite funny.
But we'll come up. So like basically how I got into it was I did sport and exercise science at uni, and when I was in sixth form at school, I basically decided to set up my own fitness Instagram page whilst I was at school.
I didn't know this about you. Sorry, I didn't know that.
A lot of people don't know this. Only like the OG people that know me knew about this. Basically, I set up a fitness Instagram when I was like 17, 18. That wasn't the norm back then, so everyone was a bit like, what? And I got a lot of stick for it. I got a lot of stick for it, and I took that to heart because I'm a sensitive person. But I carried on anyway. And then did that in like my last year at school, and then took it with me to university. And then by that point I was vlogging. I had like a little camcorder. I think I must have uploaded like 40 or 50 YouTube videos, all vlogging. Like I didn't have anywhere near as many subscribers as you.
When you say vlogs, do you mean like
as in like day in the life, day in the gym, like what I eat in a day? Here's me attempting to cook in my halls.
What camera? Canon G7X?
No, so it was a flip. It was a Canon, I think, but it was a camcorder flip one. Just like a flip out old school camcorder. And it's funny, me and my girlfriend sat like a few weeks ago and watched some of these old videos back, because I've got them all archived. Like, and sometimes I just you public can't see them because that'd kill me. But we just went back and like watched a few of them, and there's some videos of me, motivational videos of me chatting to the camera for 10 minutes straight, going off on one about like how to stay motivated in life and how to make sacrifices and all this crap. So funny. I can't believe I used to be like that. I think life has mellowed me out a bit.
I think that's good though, right? Because if you've got that at first, then it's like, oh, like that's your default where you started.
Basically, you know, I had that mindset right back then. So not that I don't have it anymore, it's just slightly changed, but I had that mindset back then, and it kind of pushed me into, I suppose, my career and having the motivation and drive to do what I do now. Yeah. So I went to uni, did sport and exercise science at university, completely different to what I do now, obviously. And my fitness Instagram was still going on at the time, YouTube channel. Yeah. One day my camcorder died, just broke on me, and I was like, no. I was like, the content can't stop. I need to go to would it have been Jessup's? Yeah, it would have been Jessup's.
Oh Jesus.
In Derby.
They're like, so expensive as well nowadays.
Jessup's in the city centre, in like the Into, the shopping centre. Went with my flatmate George and just dropped like the last 350 quid or 400 quid I had of my student loan on this Canon 100D. Just like, was like the tiniest DSLR at the time. Like it was tiny thing. But obviously the difference with this camera was that it could take photos, not just video. Yeah. So I basically started like learning how to use the camera and like shooting in manual, and like I would drag my mate Deck out and we would do like light trails along the main road, and I'd put it on a gorilla pod, attach it to a lamppost and like figure out how to do light trails and how to use the camera essentially. You know, get a little 50mm lens for it, a little nifty 50 for 100 quid. Then that changed the whole portraiture game for me with an aperture of 1.8. So like you get the dreamy soft backgrounds, and like I just fell in love with using the camera. And essentially what I was doing is when I was in the gym with my mates, I'd get them to take photos. I'd set up the camera for them, get it how I wanted it. Yeah. They would take a photo of me on the camera in the gym. And then I had some content for my Instagram, and then I'd also do the same for them. So they had stuff to post. But basically what I was doing is I was sitting in lectures and figuring out how to edit these photos. So I was watching like Lightroom tutorials in my lectures and just sat on Lightroom, just like playing around, editing, trying to figure it out. So I taught myself how to use the camera, taught myself how to edit. And then that went on for, you know, throughout the duration of uni until the point, you know, 6 months before I finished uni. I was like, I don't want to be a strength conditioning coach anymore. I don't want to be a PT in London. I knew I wanted to be in London. That was like I knew I wanted to be down in the city, because it was just the buzz and like it's where everything was achieved, you know?
Yeah, but why do you think that is though? Because you come from like a farmy background.
Yeah, I come from the countryside as well. I don't know. I always just think I was meant for something like, not more, because that's the wrong way of putting it, but like, because there's nothing wrong. As I'm getting older, I'm low key like I want to be back in the countryside.
Oh my god. Hell no. Not for me.
Not meant for more, but like I just needed to be around that buzz. There was a lot of creative stuff going on. That was where all like the models were and the brands and Fashion Week and
opportunity.
Opportunity is the perfect way of putting it. It was the land of opportunity. I think that's why I was kind of like, you know, wanting to be there.
Yeah.
So anyway, 6 months before I finished, I did it's funny. So a friend of a friend, the guy who I was a mate of mine who was in Derby, I was going to his gym training, taking photos of him. He was taking photos of me. I started taking some half decent photos, and his friend that was living in London saw them, and she was working with some brands, and she was like, oh, do you want to like come down and shoot this event? Like just have a go in London in Selfridges. And I was like, yeah, okay. Like let's give it a go. Did it. Like everyone loved the photos. Yeah. At this point I'd got a Sony. So it was good in low light, so I'd save my ass a bit. And do you know what? It's still the same. It's still the same camera I have today. And
is it
today, the A7R2?
Oh, okay.
R2. So I forked out and bought one of them second hand. There's another story about that. I got scammed, but that's a story for another day. Yeah, that's a story for another day on Gumtree. Okay. But that's a story for another day.
That's another episode.
But basically, I shot this event. They really liked the photos. And then she was like, "Oh, do you want to go and shoot this fashion campaign in Ibiza?"
Jesus. Okay.
Yeah, like not get paid for it, but like we'll pay for your travel, we'll pay for your accommodation.
As
a uni student, I'm thinking, yeah. Stayed in this really nice villa, like it was class. Had like 4 days off uni. Landed at 3 a.m. and that we had a presentation the next day at like 9 a.m. or 10 a.m. and I hadn't even done. Okay. I was just proper like. But my priorities had changed, and basically I was sat in the harbour in Ibiza, and I remember having a coffee or whatever. I didn't drink coffee back then. I don't know what I was drinking. Just thinking, right, this is what I want to do as a career. This is what I want to do as a job. This is great. Yeah. Like, hello, sign me up. So finished uni, handed my dissertation in. That was a struggle, but managed to get it done. Scraped 2-1, right, tick, like done.
Same.
And then the day after I handed my dissertation in, I moved down to London, sold my car for like, I don't know, $1,500. That paid for like 2 months of rent, 3 months of rent with my mate Beatrix in Fulham. And then, figured it out from there. I didn't have a portfolio, moved the day after and was like, right, I need to start DMing loads of models, like just try and photograph someone, and kind of just made it happen from there. And that's kind of how I got into it. And here we are 6 years later now, it will be.
Yeah. So, but going... So like when you was first in London, did you have like a plan when you very first got there of, I'm going to DM people on Instagram, I'm going to... Because there was a lot of that back then, I think that was the way to go.
It was so stressful, honestly. Like, I had like no money. Like, I didn't know anyone. Like, it was a very like, anxiety was high. Like, it was a very tough time, like emotionally. It was very stressful. Like, basically like trying to ration like a loaf of bread just because I knew I didn't have any money and like... But this is the thing. I knew that if it went tits up and it went wrong, I wasn't going to end up on the street. I could move home, figure it out and go again. And that's the beauty of being 20 or 19, 20, moving to London and just having a go. Like, I've got no kids, no commitment, no mortgage, like, I've got nothing like that. So if there was a time to do it, it was then. So like, why not? Like, and if it went wrong, I wasn't going to end up on the street. I was just going to have to move back in with my parents and then, what's plan B? So I was like, I'm going to go for it. DMing 50 models a day. I'd hear back from, like 2. 48 would ignore me. Yeah. And then like those 2, I'd try and organise a shoot with, obviously for free. And then just shoot some photos of them. And then started to like post the photos on my Instagram. And it kind of like just rolled on from there. Made some friends in the fitness industry. Elliot, who's a good mate of mine, started taking photos of him. He then... like happened to get signed by Gymshark at the same time, so then they saw my photos and then was doing some shoots for them, and then that's kind of how it kind of expanded from there, naturally kind of into the fitness world. So
would you say Elliot was your like the client that
I think he played a part, definitely played a part 100%. Because then once I could say I was shooting for Gymshark at the time, and like then like it was brands like Bulk Powders and Nocco and all those other fitness influencers that wanted photos. That's kind of how it started.
This is so interesting, man, because back then influencers and the Gymshark athletes and Bulk Powders was it was almost like if you got in with them, you were made. Yeah, because everyone was it was when the fitness social media craze was also
it was kicking off big time.
And it reminds me because how I actually got into it properly was with someone called Sophie Eris.
I know Sophie.
Yeah. And she was a Gymshark athlete, and that was like my first like shaky moment where I'm shaking like on the phone to her, like like hi. And so it's weird how you got Elliot and I got Sophie. And then it goes from there, really.
It goes from there. And once you can prove you can do the work, it's all well and good getting in with someone, but if you're good at what you do and you take good photos, you take good videos, you edit them well, they obviously get posted on their page, you post them on your page, other people see them. Oh, like I want a bit of that for my brand, or and it kind of naturally happens from there.
And the athlete network is pretty like once you shoot with one person,
they all know each other.
You just end up meeting the others, and then they all know each other.
Yeah, so, it was the same with Annie. So Annie and Elliot are together. Yeah. She was also a fitness influencer. So like, started doing some stuff with her, and that opens you up to another group of people and brands and like Bearbells and like all those kind of people. So that's how it that's how it started. And it was very much had my foot in the fitness world. And I've kind of pulled away from that slightly, as you know, and it's a bit different now, but that's basically how it started out for me.
Okay, very nice.
Yeah, which is
what a journey. I know. It's so strange to look back and you almost forget that it was like that, I think.
Mate, 6 years ago, it'll be 6 years this May or this April, so like it'll be soon,
5 years.
No, 6.
We're in 2023.
Has it been 5 years?
2018.
I've been saying 6 for some reason. Okay, 5 years, which is even crazier.
Trying to make his career sound even longer than it actually is.
Yeah,
shameful.
I'm ready to retire. So 5 years has been crazy. But let's talk about how me and you met then.
This is really funny, I think.
Oh, you tell the story then, because I don't even know how we met.
I know just as much as you.
Go on then.
Well, from my perspective, I feel like I came to the office.
Yeah.
No, well, not was it? No, or a shoot or something. And I met you already just once, briefly, maybe introduced, and that was it. Didn't even talk to you. And then a few months later, we were in the office together.
Was it on a L'Oreal shoot?
No, I don't know. I've jumped in and out of the shoots with Jamie and Will.
Yeah.
And so
long story short, like, we're very good friends with Jamie and Will, who own Jamie and the Jam, and that's the office we're currently sat in at the moment.
Yeah.
Who are friends of ours, and we worked with them for years, like since day one, really, 4 or 5 years. I've been working with them, similar to you.
How did you meet them?
Through JP, my other friend, and I was doing a shoot up in Leeds with him, and they were the video team, and I was the photo.
Okay, interesting.
That's how it worked, and that's how I met those boys. And obviously, we've been on many trips together around the world, and had great times with them. So like, they're good. But we basically met through a mutual friend. Long story short, But we joined the same office just over a year ago. Office space, co-working space.
Yeah,
and essentially, that's how we met.
Yeah, and why it's so weird though is because it feels like we've known each other.
Yeah, I feel like
for
years. I feel like I've known you since I moved to London 5 years ago. But I've only known you a year, which is weird. Cameron put me up when I was moving house in October. Cameron put me up for a couple of weeks, which was very nice of him. But we just got on really well. I feel like similar mindset, similar outlook on life, similar morals, like aligned morally,
values, morals,
you know, which are that's all the important stuff.
Yeah.
And yeah, just get on really well. So that's kind of how we met. There's no exciting meet cute or like love story shit. It's just like, that's just how we met.
We saw each other on a shoot and we were like, whoa, that's your camera. Whoa, this is mine. Yeah, none of that.
Look how big your lens is. Yeah, so that's basically how we met. There's nothing interesting at all. But like, let's touch on this topic. Like, what made us start a podcast together? I think we both got different answers for this. We do.
Yeah, but before we move on to that, I wanted to say, so the payment for Matt staying at mine was that he sorted my fashion sense out.
Oh yeah, tell this story.
So I used to like working really hard. Never really bothered about anything outside of work. So
Cameron's basically a bit of a hermit, ladies and gents. So like, he don't. This is so fair for me to say, by the way. Didn't get out much. Didn't like go out and party or have a big social life or anything like that. That's fair, isn't it?
I think it's fair, but at the same time, you've got to take into consideration that I used to have all that before I moved to London. Yeah. And when I came to London, it was like work mode, like activate. Like I don't care about going out.
You were just a bit of a hermit for a while.
Yeah, hermit makes it sound like I didn't have any friends. I had no friends on purpose. And it was like, I am working and that is it. Yeah. Don't ask me to come out on weekends. Don't. Yeah. Anyway, I actually used to have a little bit of, like some of the friends that I used to know, I don't really know anymore. Just because I probably went so hard on it. Yeah. Yeah. But getting back up to speed. So I just didn't care about anything else really in terms of like what clothes I wore. It was just black jeans and a black top. Like you go on set and it's like just wear black. Black's a good colour to not have anything.
Not be seen or noticed.
Yeah. And it just went on for so long, and then when we came into the office, there was an actual reason to sort yourself out a little bit. I'm not saying that I didn't shower. Like I was literally how I am now, except I just didn't look fashionable.
Right. And still don't.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Excuse me. You're just jealous of this.
Yeah. Anyway, so you asked me to take you shopping.
Yeah, so when we started coming to the office, obviously you see other people all the time, you make friends, like you naturally just have a bit more of a social life. Yeah. And you guys all looked fashionable, and I was like, bro, Matt, you're the best looking person in here. Take me shopping. And there was no budget.
No, so it was quite fun for me because I was living vicariously through Cameron, because I haven't been on a shopping spree like this for a while. But we essentially cycled from here all the way into town, and you were like, right, take me shopping, dress me, there's no budget. And I was like, say less. So we went shopping, and we got you a bunch of new outfits, loads of new trainers, coats, all sorts of good stuff. Once you do that once, you don't need to do it for a while.
So it was more of an investment. So probably I'm not going to buy anything new for the next 5 years now. But that's the fashion. That's how Matt changed my life. I changed Matt's life just by being me. Yeah. And
okay, well, so what made us decide to do this podcast then? Because we've both got different answers to this, I think.
So I'm going to answer it two ways. I'm going to say personally for me, and then I'll say like just as a whole. Okay. So for me, I think being a hermit a little bit. Yeah. I think I slowly lost communication skills in a way. In terms of like, I can think straight in my head, but then when I communicate it out loud, it's almost like I'm trying to unravel my thoughts as I'm saying it out loud.
Also, COVID wouldn't have helped with
that as well. Yeah,
COVID wouldn't have helped that with a lot of people. I think a lot of people post-COVID were like got used to not really communicating with people as much, not being in office and all that. But
but hold on. Yeah, but see, if you're going to bring COVID into it, I've got to mention.
Okay, go on.
My life didn't even change when COVID happened.
That's how much of a hermit he was. Cameron's life stayed exactly the same. If anything, you were buzzing about COVID.
Well, I wasn't buzzing because all my work vanished. But yeah, I just basically did the same thing that I'd always done.
Yeah.
And from a wider perspective, I think we've got some pretty good experiences and a decent network that we can pull from in terms of things we've gone through and things that we can help other people relate to with their first steps into the industry.
100%, yeah.
Again, one of the things that I really learned when I first moved to London, and some of the things that I learned over the years, was realising that your way is fine in like how you think or how you do things. And because a lot of people will go, oh no, you need to like do it this way, or you need to like, that's not how it works. And it's a lot of times I've just thought that's just the way the person who's told me that thinks. And so,
well, this is the thing, like we've experienced things in a certain way in the industry and being in London, and we'll talk on those experiences and share like what's happened with us and all of the, you know, ins and outs and the nitty gritty stuff. But at the end of the day, we can only share that so much, and it might help you. But as you come into the industry, you're probably going to kind of come at it at a different angle. You're going to have different experiences on set. You'll meet different kinds of people, and then that'll alter your journey and path. But we'll share what we've learned and what we've been taught. And, you know, it might help you and it might make you laugh, and there'll be some good stories along the way. But, you know, take it with a pinch of salt, so to speak. Like, everyone's journey is different. I think that's the point you were kind of making.
I think everyone's journey is different, but I think there's fundamentals that we can say are like, just don't worry about that. Just do it the way you want to and don't worry about it. Yeah. I think a good example is probably when you first start, you think the client is always right. Not like anything bad with clients, but I just mean you kind of bend over backwards for certain things, and then later on you realise that actually you can, like, your opinion is probably more, like, in an expert perspective, you're probably the one who should be calling the shots from a video or photography perspective. Yeah. And it's just learning stuff like that, like trusting, you know.
So we will teach you all those things. Not teach you, but we'll just share our experiences. And you can take what you want from it. Yeah. But that's, a big reason to do the podcast. I think a main reason from my perspective is...
Please tell. Do tell.
Is, I think, so now me and Cameron are no longer in office together. So I was kind of like...
that as well.
Yeah, so I wanted to do something... Because we built a good friendship, I was like, I wanted to do something on the side that keeps us both seeing each other regularly, chatting away, whatever it is. And we've almost got something like on the side that we can work on with together. And then we're staying in communication with each other, and it gets us out of the house. It gets us here. It gets us to talk and like work on something in a new creative way, I would say. It's almost like a new side thing that is just quite refreshing. Yeah. And I know there's 1,000 podcasts coming out a day at the moment, and we're just another two white boys doing another podcast. But it's more just for us, I think, to like stay in communication, chat, share our experiences. I think also help motivate each other. Yeah. Because there's times where, you know, we'll talk about it in different episodes like creative ruts and stuff, and there's times where you feel low and high, and I think that's the freelance life and working for yourself. Yeah. But I think us coming in here and talking about it helps us go away and figure out what we want to do moving forward, and helps motivate ourselves. So that was the main reason for me as to why, you know, I really wanted to start the podcast, really.
Well, those are really good reasons.
Yeah, they are.
Obviously, the one I heard the most was the very start, where it was just to carry on talking to Cameron.
Just want to be around Cameron all the time.
But yeah, like, I'm really looking forward to this podcast. I think it's something that I've been wanting to do for a while. And because, especially in our industry where you're a photographer, I work in video, and everything kind of relates around those in a way. Like, you go on Instagram or even LinkedIn, like, there's pictures and videos and just all sorts. And I think that when it's your job, you then go away and want to do your own thing, but it still relates to what you've been doing all day. And the podcast is something where you can kind of sit down, it's a bit more chilled. Yeah. Like, we're putting into our craft, but it's not directly like video or photo. Yeah. It's just something that is a little bit more on the side, like parallel. Yeah. Which is quite nice.
Okay. So I want to go through a few things just to get to know each. Okay. So the listeners can get to know each other. Get to know each other. Listeners, you get to know each other if you want.
We already know each other.
Yeah, no, but like, so you guys can get to know us a little better. So like, what was your first job in the creative industry?
I think so. There's a really good client who I'm still really good friends with today, and I actually need to message him. He was called Robert McAvoy, and he ran a Russian R&H Academy. It was Irish dance.
Right. Okay.
And I used to capture like Irish dancing, like a course. Yeah. And he was a personal trainer that trains the Game of Thrones cast.
Right.
So,
I was going to say, I've heard of Robert McAvoy. I don't know why that name rings a bell for me. Yeah.
And basically, that was my first one. I used to travel to Richmond, which was like 2 hours away because I used to live in Greenwich.
You did, yeah.
And yeah, I used to go there. I used to be there at like 3 p.m. and probably stay there till 11 at night.
Damn.
And then I used to go back to Greenwich and I used to go to the gym.
Yeah.
And that was probably the main one, but it was one of those ones where Rob was also figuring stuff out. So it wasn't something where it was enabling me to really get used to how the industry actually works, but it helped me learn to invoice, like be on time and reliable and what's expected from a client and all those things. So it was a really good learning experience, and probably some of the funniest, like I've got some videos on my phone which are just hilarious. And because he was a personal trainer, so he was really into his fitness and we used to have a joke where like some of the file sizes, like back then, like 4K in 2018, that was, you wouldn't film everything in 4K, whereas you would now. And it would be, the file sizes are so big because Rob's information on camera is just so marvelous that the file sizes are massive. And there was just ridiculous, like, little jokes like that. So that was my first one.
That was your first job?
Yeah, and I was shooting on a Sony a6500.
Oh, okay.
And I still have the lens, because that's like the only 3 lenses I've got still.
Nice.
Yeah, but because we started at 3 p.m, it allowed me to go and shoot with like Sophie Aris and
in the day.
Just to clarify, you know it's Sophie Aris, right? Okay, because people used to say Aris, and I'm like, it's not Aris. So, so there, you could do another shoot, and then you could go there, and that was like really the first one, which I'm really appreciative of Rob of, because he was really good.
Very cool.
Yeah. What about you? Tell me your first.
My first paid job. I used to have to go. My mate Sam, who I'm still good mates with now, literally saw him yesterday. He had a fitness app called Rig, and I had to go around all of the fitness classes that were on that app and take photos of the fitness classes.
Okay.
So all over London, all of these gyms around London. I was living in West at the time, but I'd go West, South, East, like North, like all over London. So I was seeing a lot of London, but I'd go in, take photos of these fitness classes for like an hour or two, and then leave. And then they would upload all like of the gym spaces, and then they'd upload them to the app. And that was, I'd probably say, my first paid job in London.
Okay, that was a really short answer compared to mine, bro.
Yeah, because I'm being nice and concise, and you're waffling.
Yeah, well, that's exactly. This is why I need to develop my communication skills.
Yeah, I need to just butt in more.
No, you don't. However, you mentioned how you didn't see. Oh no, sorry, you did see a lot of London. Yeah. Did you ever have that problem at first where I think I was in London for like 2 or 3 years, and people would go, "Oh, do you know where this place is, or what's this?" And I'm like, "Mate, I only know where I was living and then where my shoot is." Well, like, I go through places, but I never actually like knew London. So when people used to ask me, they used to go, "Cameron, you've been here for 4 years or 3 years, and you don't know."
So I got to know it pretty well, to be fair, and like because I was always going to random places for shoots. I'm very visual, so if I see somewhere I know I've been before, like I'm quite good at. I've got a good sense of direction, is what I'm saying. So like, I know my way around fairly well.
Oh no,
I'd go into town and go shopping, or like, go see friends in other areas of London. So I'd use the tube every day.
But if somebody asked you, like, do you know where like Marble Arch is?
Yeah.
Well, something else that's not as famous as
Yeah, no, I'd usually know where it is.
Okay, right. I never knew, so I would know it by seeing it. I would know it by seeing it though, but I wouldn't know it by if someone asked me.
But yeah, no, I think getting out and about a lot helps. And I feel like I know London pretty well now in terms of I know the tubes pretty much off the back of my hand and all that kind of stuff.
Very nice.
Okay, so what are some of the biggest challenges you face in your career?
I think the biggest challenge is trusting yourself and thinking that you can do it.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Yeah, going back to what I mentioned earlier about where now I realise that, I don't know, you can just push back. Like there's a lot of things that happen where people ask for stuff or they want stuff doing, and you're just kind of like, well, what you're asking for is like a 10 grand thing. Like, whereas back when you're first starting, you think that you've just got to, you do everything, which is probably right.
Yeah.
But that, I'm only using that as an example, but it's stuff like that in general, like
having the ability
yourself.
To be like, no, or this is going to cost you extra, or I think that's just where you are in your career, though.
Yeah, I think. Well, maybe it is just trusting yourself. Yeah. I think so.
Backing your own ability, your skill.
Yeah.
I think the biggest challenges I've faced in my career is the changes in things like income and finance and working for yourself and having quiet periods and really busy periods. Learning to handle my money, learning to budget correctly when you've got like £800 coming in one week, then £1,500 coming in another week, and then the next 2 weeks you only have 20 quid come in, and then a week after that you have £2,000 come in, and it's just so like, whereas like all your mates are like, okay, they get paid X amount on the last day of every month, and so learning how to, you're a lot better at it than me. I've got better and I'm a lot better this year, but like things like budgeting, saving money, like, you know, just being worried and panicked when there's no work coming in for like the first 2 months of the year, and you're like, oh my god, like I need to pay rent.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
I think they're the biggest challenges I've faced in my career in terms of just how up and down it is as well, and creative ruts, but we'll talk about that another day.
Okay. Well, I think that's a good thing that you mentioned, how you're not really prepared for that when you first.
No one ever taught me that.
Especially freelance.
Like my parents aren't freelance. They've never worked for themselves. No one in my life has ever worked for themselves. So like no one ever taught me like, oh, you need to do this with your money, or this is how you do this, or like this is how you send an invoice, or do you know what I mean? All of those kinds of things was just like completely alien to me, and you're kind of learning along the way. And when you don't have another source of income and it's your passion is now your source of income, and it being inconsistent, then that's scary. But nailing things down like monthly retainers and stuff are like answers and ways around that. Yeah. But yeah, that for me is the biggest challenge, and we can talk about more on that on another day.
Okay. You'll have to come back to the future episodes to know the solutions to all of those.
Yeah. Okay. What are some of your interests outside?
Comic books.
Hobbies and interests outside of your job.
Okay, so I used to skateboard when I was growing up, so that's quite nice. That's actually how I got into a camera for the first time. Yeah. So skateboarding, I also really like collecting comic books, and mainly just watching movies, I guess.
You do like your movies,
Comic books I used to collect on a regular basis every week, all the new ones, and now I try and make it so I save up a bit of money. Yeah. And it's more of like, I get one comic, but it's like a good one. Like,
well, yeah, this man's got an insane comic collection, by the way. Like what's your most expensive comic book worth?
So it's probably worth like $9,000 now.
How nuts is that? And you bought it for how much?
I bought it on when it released for £2.80 from Forbidden Planet in Manchester,
and it's worth $9,000, guys.
Yeah, and it's the
that's some ROI right there.
It's the so people, if you've seen Into the Spider-Verse or like the new movie Across the Spider-Verse, the animated Spider-Man movies, Spider-Gwen,
no one actually cares what the comic is.
No, stop. People will know the character. The first appearance of Spider-Gwen. She was just a new character when I bought that comic book. Now, obviously, she's in the movies. Yeah, that's great.
But anyway, the point is... Wait.
So Spider-Gwen issue 1, Edge of Spider-Verse issue 2, and also every issue of Ultimate Spider-Man. Yeah. Every issue. Well, and I also met Stan Lee, so... Yeah. I got it signed.
Besides the point is, your comic book collection is worth quite a bit, and it's very impressive. Yeah. And that's probably the best thing you'll ever get your return on investment from. £2.50 or whatever it was, and that's now worth $9,000. Is nuts.
Unreal. Oh, I actually bought the variant as well, so I've got 2 or 3.
This isn't a comic book podcast.
Sorry, go on. Yeah, sorry.
Any other interests and active?
So what did I say? Skateboarding, comic books.
You like to go to the gym?
I like to go to the gym, fitness. Matt knows me more than I know myself. Yeah. I also really, really love reading. That's something I picked up over the last 2 years. Life changing. Yeah. Because I'm a big podcast listener. Yeah. So podcast. Actually, let's just round it up. So self-development and like just learning stuff. I quite like that. That's a hobby. Fair. There you go. What about you? Tell me yours.
I want to say fitness. At the moment, it's a bit all over the place, but like that's a big part of my life. Sport, fitness. I don't know. I'm into my fashion.
Oh yeah, you are.
Hobbies and interests. Like,
I didn't notice you was into your fashion actually.
Did you not?
No, I didn't know.
Oh, okay. Hobbies and interests. I just like being around friends and family. You know, going home, seeing my friends, being around, seeing my family, seeing my girlfriend.
Very nice.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I feel like as you get older, hobbies and interests just kind of they don't become as big of a part of your life. I don't know. You're so busy with other stuff.
I get what you mean, but I think it's because we like what we do. So we kind of do
our hobby for a living.
We have like a sense of our hobby for a living. So
okay, movies as well. I like movies. Like love a film. Love a quiet night in with a movie and a takeaway and just chilling on the sofa.
What movie? Like, if you could choose any movie to watch, even if you've seen it before.
Good Will Hunting.
I've never seen that. That's the one with Matt Damon though.
Yeah.
And
Ben Affleck
and
Robin Williams.
Yeah, Robin.
Yeah. You need to watch that film. It's incredible.
I've heard it's really good.
Yeah, it's moving.
Okay.
Okay, so nice. And then, like, lastly, to finish on, I'm going to ask you this question. What was your proudest moment in your career so far? There could be a few, but just a concise.
I feel like this is something you should have asked me last night so that I could think about it.
No, but just the first thing that comes to your head, though.
The proudest moment. I don't have a proudest moment, but I have like a proudest trait, I guess, is just my work ethic.
Yeah, no, you are an absolute work dog.
And so I think that lends into like my proudest moment being those times where I've pushed through and I've stayed up for like 3 days or 2 days or overnight and got like a project done.
Yeah.
I'm pretty proud of that because I think if you don't have anything else, you can have your work ethic. And,
I hear you.
That's
it's not about the accolades and I've done this and I've done that and I've shot this person, I've shot that person.
Yeah.
Fair. That makes me not want to answer mine now.
Oh God, go on.
Well, I don't know. I think like the Polaroid exhibition was a really proud moment and that was like a very moving moment.
Yeah. You just gave me
the one that you came to.
Yeah, that was amazing, by the way.
I don't know. I was going to say some of the people I've photographed in the past and like the Chelsea campaign with their new kit was cool. Seeing that in the night town and seeing that around the stadium is like a really proud moment.
Yeah.
My first album cover, that was a proud moment.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. That's it. I think I'm gonna stop there.
Okay. Can I update mine?
Yeah.
I think running the full productions for GQ was a big step.
Yeah, it was a big step. But you smashed it.
Yeah, but also I think you learn a lot about yourself, but also because they tend to, Mateo especially, tends to take you from 0 to 100. So like you would have just done something else and you'll go, oh, do you want to, just have the full production next time. And you kind of like, what?
Yeah.
And so, that's probably one of my proudest ones, just because you know you can do it. But proud for yourself, like, it's like proving to yourself, like, oh, wow, like it was possible.
Yeah.
So
Interesting. Good. Well, let's wrap it there.
Okay.
And thanks for listening to episode 1. You probably got a better understanding about me and Cameron now and the journey that we took to get into the jobs we're in now. There'll be much more on it and in lots of different details and stuff on different episodes, but there's a very brief summary of us and a bit of an intro into what we're like as people, although I'm sure our personalities will come out for sure over the episodes.
Also, the personalities will come out a lot more when we're not holding our microphones to our face. The arms are coming.
Yeah, we've got arms on order,
my
guys.
arm is shaking right now.
We've got arms on order, so we don't have to hold these microphones.
Yeah, it's taking some mental energy away from thinking to hold this up.
You can tell you just haven't been hitting the gym, mate. You're just struggling.
The problem is I have been hitting the gym, which is why it's so difficult.
That's why it's so difficult.
Yeah.
That makes sense. That's why it's easy for me then. Cool. We're going to wrap it there. Yeah. Thanks for listening, guys, and we'll see you in episode 2.
Bye, guys. That was a really good episode. Thank you so much for watching. If you are listening on Spotify or Apple Music, please head to the show notes below and check out any of the things that we spoke about linked down there. If you are watching on YouTube, make sure you hit the subscribe button and the like button. And if you want to hear about more topics, maybe even some that we haven't spoke about, please leave them in the comments below and we'll make sure to check them out and maybe make an episode on it.